How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I'm going to be doing my review for DC's newest film, Blue Beetle. And going into this movie, I didn't exactly know what to expect. I mean, I had a feeling it wasn't going to do that well at the box office, and it's not doing horrible, I guess, but it could be doing way better, and it needs to make a lot more money, in my opinion, because I actually enjoyed this movie. I thought it was pretty good. And believe it or not, it might be my favorite comic book movie of the year. What? I know, that's kind of insane to say, considering Across the Spider-Verse and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 came out this year. But, I don't know, I liked this movie. It had an interesting vibe to it, and it just, I think for me, felt like a familiar superhero movie. And what do I mean by a familiar superhero movie? Well, of course, it doesn't have multiverse hijinks. It's not this kind of big, flashy end to a trilogy like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's just kind of, I hate to use this word, but stereotypical in a good way, while simultaneously being its own thing and having its own identity and own vibe. And I guess we'll talk about that a little bit more in this review, but it just felt like an actual superhero movie. Like, you really realize in the comic book movie climate today, we don't really get a lot of these kinds of movies, these small-scale type of films that really remind you why you actually like comic book movies to begin with, or at least superhero movies particularly. You know, I mean, the closest movie that to this film that has come out this year in terms of the comic book movie world is like Shazam 2, but that movie has a lot of problems that this movie doesn't. And I think this is just better than that movie by a mile. And I don't know, I think it felt familiar, and that's why I liked it. It felt like something that should have come out a long time ago. And it was weirdly nostalgic for that reason. I don't know. It's kind of hard to convey what I'm exactly saying, but does anyone else feel that way? I don't know. It's just, I think really what I'm trying to say is it was small scale, and I liked that. And it wasn't connected to anything else. It wasn't connected. The post-credit scenes had nothing to do with anything else. It was just about the movie. Yes, it alludes to the fact that Ted Cord... spoilers. It alludes to the fact that Ted Cord is alive still. Okay, so that could be set up for a sequel. But if you're just setting up a sequel, well, we don't know for sure if this will get a sequel. It needs to be more successful if it's going to get a sequel, in my opinion. But, you know, I would like for this film to get a sequel. But I like the fact that the post-credit scenes were just, you know, maybe set up for a sequel at the very most. They didn't allude to anything bigger than that. And yes, apparently this is like the first DCU film. I don't know. I'm still confused on all of this. But I think this movie, depending on what happens in the next 5, 6, 7 years with the DC Universe, this film could age great. Because if the DC Universe just completely fails, I think this could be a great standalone movie. And I kind of hope, in a weird way, it stays as a standalone movie. I would like a sequel, especially there's been rumors Jason Sudeikis would play Ted Cord. Okay, rad. I'd be okay with that. But it's like, I don't really need it either. In a weird way, I kind of want this film to just be its standalone thing. Because, I don't know, I just think it's interesting. But yeah, I enjoyed it. The cast is great. Zola Mariduena, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but he's the lead, obviously, as Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes. And he's great. I knew he was in Cobra Kai before. I haven't seen that show, but that's like the only big thing he's been in, I feel like, other than this film. And he's fantastic. And also, of course, you got George Lopez in here. My goat. George Lopez is hilarious. He's a scene stealer, without a doubt. And one of the best things about the movie, actually. He's my second favorite character, probably, after Jaime. And then you also have, like, the villain, played by Susan Sarandon. She's good. You know, kind of one-dimensional a little bit, but, you know, it's not that big of a deal. Because what they end up doing with the other villain, Carapax, I think his name was, I think was really interesting, and how Jaime spares his life, and you kind of see the flashes of him and what kind of created him and why he has become such a menace, I guess. And you see his like mom dying and stuff, and that was screwed up and dark and sad and tragic, and it kind of almost brought tears to me. I'm not gonna lie, it was it hit me in my heart a little bit. That moment where he's looking at that picture of him and his mom, and I was like, oh man, I feel bad for this guy now. But I still also think he's a dick, and I believe he does die at the end of the movie. I think he like kind of commits suicide from what I remember. Maybe, I think. And I think that was just a special moment though. And I think that was good. I also like how there's actually stakes in this movie. Obviously with Jaime's dad dying halfway through the film. I think that's really good for this movie. And I was like wondering if any of the family members were going to die. And it made sense. Obviously he had a heart attack, and he had a heart attack prior to that. They kind of was, they were foreshadowing that a little bit, I guess you could say. But yeah, I really like the family dynamic in this movie. And I expected that to be a big theme of the movie, family. It was cute. It was heartfelt. And it's almost like for this movie, and I kind of expected it to be this to a degree, it's like if Spider-Man got his powers, but immediately told Aunt May about it, or Aunt May was there when he got bit by the spider, because it's cool that the family knows, oh yeah, he's Blue Beetle now. I will say, I do kind of wish Blue Beetle was actually like saving more people in the film. He really only is saving his family at certain moments, which is still very heroic, obviously, but he's not like going around, the city and saving a bunch of people. Like I don't know. He kind of just wants to save his family, which is good. And I guess it separates it from other superhero films, but I don't know. Maybe I do wish he was like saving more people, but it's really just focused on him saving his family. And then eventually his family has to save him and rescue him. So it's interesting. I don't know. It's interesting though. I guess it works. I will say one of my main negatives with the film, some of the humor is a bit much. However, there's definitely funny moments. There's some really funny stuff. Again, most of the things regarding George Lopez's character, Uncle Rudy, he's awesome. And the Tacoma, it's really hilarious stuff. There is some funny moments in here. But I think maybe the stuff with like the Nana with the gun, well, how'd you learn how to shoot that? One day I'll tell you, or whatever she says. It's like, okay, it's kind of funny, but not really. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they're trying a little too hard with the humor a little bit. So that's kind of, I guess, one of my negatives. But the action sequences are enjoyable enough. I don't really think they're anything spectacular, but they were fun here and there. And the music choices they have, and the actual score of the film, the main score, was incredibly badass. I loved it. It just had a lot of energy to it. It felt different, sounded different from other superhero themes. And it just felt like unique to the movie, and it felt right to be Blue Beetle's main theme. And the whole energy of this movie, it's got a lot of energy. That's what I love about the movie. It's got a fun vibe to it. The Blue Beetle suit itself looks good. In terms of like CGI or whatever, I didn't really notice anything too horrible. I don't think it was anything like that bad, to be honest. And I think the Blue Beetle suit, for the most part, was practical. I mean, I know it was practical, but I'm sure they use CGI here and there. But obviously for like the weapons the suit has and all that. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty solid. I really want to rewatch this movie, which is a good sign, because I think it's just fun. And I don't know, that's like the one word I can call this movie. It's fun. And it's, got a decent runtime. It doesn't feel like it goes on for too long, which maybe is a complaint I have with something like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, or maybe even, I guess Across the Spider-Verse to a degree. Maybe those movies are slightly too long, I don't know. But it's just, I feel like they did what they wanted with this movie. They didn't tie it in with any universe, really. At least, they will eventually, I'm sure. But as of now, it's like a standalone film. And yes, there's, references to Batman and stuff. But it's like, it's in the DC universe. But, just a quick throwaway line, Batman's a fascist and stuff like that. Like, it's all good. I think he's wearing like a Gotham Law sweatshirt at one point. But, it's just kind of little tiny Easter eggs. It's still a very standalone film, and I enjoyed it. So let me hear your thoughts on this film down in the comments below. What did you guys think of Blue Beetle? Did it live up to your expectations? Did you hate it? I've heard some people that didn't like this movie, but I thought it was quite decent. But yeah, post your thoughts and comments down below. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Check out my Letterboxd and Twitter in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.